There are many questions about Paimon that have yet to be answered, ranging from what the hell is this mysterious staff she held in the first beta of Genshin Impact, to what exactly is Paimon? Is she a god, or something else entirely? It's become abundantly clear to us at this point that there is something divine regarding Paimon, be it the fact that she's always floating, the fact that her name Paimon is a demon from the Ars Goetia, or hell, just the fact that the bitch simply looks like she comes from Celestia. Adding fuel to the fire in regards to this theory is a throwaway comments made by a Melazine regarding what they see when they look at Paimon.
Haha, interesting, but to my eyes, Paimon is like a little rainbow balloon floating in the air, and her string seems to extend upward to somewhere above the sky itself.
Given the heavens are presumably above the sky itself, it makes sense then why people would assume this line alludes to the theory that Paimon comes from Celestia. However, the heavens are not the only thing above the sky, and all it takes is for one to look up to take notice of the moon, a celestial body central to the Seelie race in the very embodiment of the three moon sisters. So, could it be then the string the Melazine saw going above the sky itself wasn't going up to the heavens, but rather the moon? Something potentially stoking the flames for this theory is Paimon's unusual reaction at the mention of Seelies in the most recent Chenyu Veil's storyline. I will admit, with no voice acting, Paimon's comments are ultimately equivocal in nature, and while this could simply be, like someone pointed out, Paimon excited about treasure, Paimon's constant use of filler words and the 5 different uses of ellipses in her 2 sentences make her words feel evasive in nature. Another interesting thing was Paimon's note of there being 3 Seelies present. While this could just be her pointing out the obvious, the ambiguous nature of the entire scene could also mean it's a reference to the 3 Moon Sisters. The 3 Moon Sisters, for those unaware, are some of the oldest beings in Teyvat's lore, being older than even Morax. Their names were Aria, Sonnet, and Canon, and they lived in a lunar palace high above the sky overlooking the Seelie race. They would often ride through the heavens high above in a silver carriage, and it said, quote, "The moons were daughters of prose and song, sovereign over the night sky. They navigated the heavens above in their silver carriage, alternating with one another thrice a month. If the rain was not promptly passed from one sister to the next, a terrible disaster would occur that very day." For clarity's sake, the Chinese text actually states that the altering of the Moon Sisters stopped the day of the disaster, not a disaster would happen if they stopped taking turns being the moon. Annual round of applause for the localization team, hardest job in the world. But that's right, Teyvat used to have 3 distinct moons before a disaster struck, leaving us with just one. But what was this disaster, and what happened to the Moon Sisters? Well, it's plainly written in the records of Qiaoying that, quote, "At a far-flung moment in the distant past, the ancestor of the Seelie race met a traveler from afar with whom they swore an oath of union witnessed by the 3 sisters of the lunar palace. Just 30 days later, a sudden disaster struck. The Seelie and their lover fled into exile as the world collapsed around them, fleeing until the terrible calamity caught up with and seized them. Their cruel punishment was to be separated from each other for eternity, and to have their memories wiped without a trace." As for how this affected the Moon Sisters, well, quote, "With time, disasters overturned the sovereign carriage and laid ruin to the halls of the stars. The 3 sisters of the nights turned against one another, leading to their eternal parting by death. Only one of their pale corpses now remains, ever shedding its cold lights." I know this isn't the whole story, but god damn, these niggas went cowabunga on one another just because they seen some bad shit? That's I don't know, it's just a little melodramatic for me. I don't know, man. I could like watch Montana get hit with an asteroid tomorrow, and that ain't finna make me want to go kill no one, especially at no risk to myself. Montana could get wiped off the map at 3 o'clock by 4:30. My nigga, I'm already finna have another map printed. You got me fucked in Montana. So what the fuck I look like? What kind of bitch-ass state is Montana? People from Montana, y'all don't deserve rights. If you're watching this and you're from Montana, from the bottom of my heart, go fuck. We don't know which of the Moon Sisters' corpses lights up the sky, but one interesting thing to note about the Moon Sisters' names is they all relate to music. An aria is a self-contained piece for one voice. A sonnet is a poem that follows a specific rhyme scheme and usually relates to love. And a canon is a composition in which the melody is imitated by successive voices. So I mean, based off names. Paimon sounds pretty similar to Canon, given they both just love repeating shit they heard. Fucking parrots. So if Paimon is, either a moon sister, descended from one, or just a reincarnation of one, it's probably Canon. One more thing I found pretty interesting on the topic of threes is... Ugh. Wrap yourselves, gang, you guys know what we gotta do. It's time to enter the Book of the Damned. We're all aware, Paimon is a demon in the Ars Goetia, a king of hell and the ninth demon. One especially noteworthy fact about Paimon is, quote, "If thou callest the spirits Paimon alone, thou must make him some offering, and there will attend him 2 kings called Label and Abali. Label and Abali, true names. Abalam and Babal are 2 kings who serve under Paimon and will appear before the summoner, with Paimon once again reiterating the theme of threes." My only problem with this is that Paimon is far greater than those 2, whereas the Moon Sisters were presumably all equal with one another, but I don't know, it still felt necessary to bring up, but it's not like miHoYo, goes one for one with what they read in occult lore. Of course, another explanation for Paimon's existence that still ties her to the Seelie race is her either being the Seelie ancestor or the traveler from afar. Given the Seelies once had close connections with the heavens, this would help to explain Paimon's outfit. Furthermore, her curse of being separated from her lover would help to explain someone like Mona being unable to read Paimon's fate.
This travel companion of yours, do you know anything of her origins? No matter what, I cannot seem to discern a single shred of information regarding this floating fairy's fate. Oh? So you don't know where she comes from either?
And if the Pale Princess in 6 Pygmy stories based off the Seelie disaster, this could help to explain the crown on her head given she is royalty, but then we live in a world where Paimon is older than Morax, and I don't know if I can accept that. Furthermore, this could also help to explain Paimon's extreme fear of abandonment. While she may have lost all her memories back during the disaster, subconsciously she could fear separation because of how jarring it was when it was forced upon her thousands of years ago. And her mind dreads going through something like that once again. So now, all that needs to happen is someone rip Paimon away from us, and then Paimon levels up. Regardless, the Paimon Seelie theories are fun. I personally lean towards Paimon having something to do with the Seelie race, probably something with the Moon Sisters, because I think it ties up the plot nicely. That's what miHoYo is all about. Plot progression. If not Paimon, then who do we have left from the Seelie race that can bridge the gap between that story and the main quest line, huh? Who can do it? Is dainsleif just a one-hit one? He's gonna do everything? Come on, man.